So, me and my boyfriend just went and saw Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse, and it was pretty good. I just wanted to come at you guys with a little unscripted video with my thoughts on Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse. There's going to be a section in this video dedicated to non-spoilers, and a section all about the spoiler talk. This is one of those movies I don't really think can be discussed without going in depth with the spoilers, but I definitely can give some non-spoilery talks. So if you want to avoid spoilers, because let me tell you, this is one of those movies that you definitely want to go in, like, unspoiled. Unfortunately for me, not everything was completely unspoiled. I had a surprise ruined for me, and it wasn't good. But rest assured, I had it. It was mostly unspoiled. What happened was I just opened up YouTube, and the first thing in the recommendations was a clip from Across the Spiderverse. But yeah, I don't want anybody else to be spoiled on this film, so I will make sure that there is ample warning. So, let's get into the non-spoiler stuff. The first thing I need to compliment endlessly is the visuals. They are so damn beautiful. It is so well animated. The first movie already looked incredible. The first film. Alright, the first film, Into the Spider-Verse, is a marvel in of itself, pun intended. It already looks like an incredible movie, but, the team that animated this somehow managed to make a movie that looks even better in some cases than the first one did. There are so many different styles of art that were used in this one. There's even like some like traditional 2D artwork in there. There's even like, okay, this is a little bit of a spoiler, so skip to this time code, but there's even Lego stop motion Lego movie style animation in this one, which is freaking awesome. I understand why there wasn't a ton of it in the film, but there was. There was so many different just animation styles and little tricks that they did that just took everything the first film did really, really well and just expanded upon it, because they kind of needed to up the ante a little in this one, because if you've been keeping up with animated films recently, there's been a bit of a increase in what I've called the Spider-Verse style of animated films, where they take heavy inspiration from the style Spider-Verse was going for, and a lot of films lately have been cropping up that definitely follow that style Spider-Verse was going for. When I think of those movies, I think of things like Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, or the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie that's coming out. The point is, it's not enough anymore to just look like Spider-Verse. Nowadays, you kind of have to, like, that Spider-Verse style is great, but you have to do more. I think the team realized that they have to up themselves a little bit, and I think that they managed to do that really, really well. Another thing that was really good was all the performances. I had no problems there. It was a bit disappointing that Nicolas Cage wasn't in it this time around, like he was in the first one, but whatever. I'll get more into the other spiders when we get into the spoiler talk. I think the standout performance again was definitely Jake Johnson as Peter B. Parker once again. He was already like my favorite character from the last movie, other than Miles and Gwen, but him playing like Spider-Dad in this one was incredible. Okay, so now we're getting into the spoiler section. I really don't know how much more of this film I can discuss without getting into the spoilers, but I'm warning you, we are diving full on into spoilers now, so if you don't want to be spoiled on Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse, please click off the video and go watch the movie for yourself. Alright, so the first thing I have to compliment is, holy hell, the references. The references this time around are insane. Even, I think they went even far, maybe, I don't know, I'd have to go back and rewatch the first Spider-Verse movie, but it seemed like they were pulling out even more fan service, even more cameos than the first Spider-Verse movie did. And, some people may say that as a bad thing, but I see it as a really good thing. I saw that as a really good positive, as a huge, lifelong Spider-Man fan. Seeing all those references made me giddy, jump up and down in my seat, and squeal like a little girl. It was just so phenomenal seeing all these references that I understood. Spectacular Spider-Man. After 15 years, wait, 15 years, right? It's been around that. He finally has another, it's just one speaking line. And unfortunately, it was spoiled for me out the gate, as I mentioned earlier. But Spectacular Spider-Man is finally back with one speaking line. Oh, and there's like a little, there's a clip from the show playing in the background of a scene, if you pay attention. In the scene where they're, like, showing all the Uncle Ben deaths, and, like, it shows Tobey Maguire's Peter mourning Uncle Ben, and Andrew Garfield's Peter mourning Uncle Ben. But if you pay attention, you look closely, in the background, you can see that there's a clip from Spectacular Spider-Man playing. But as somebody who grew up with Spectacular Spider-Man, and that show being my absolute favorite, that was just, it was spectacular. There's no other word for it. It was spectacular seeing the Spectacular Spider-Man again. I am not entirely certain if that was Josh Keaton voicing him. It sounded like him. I could be wrong, so if I'm wrong, go ahead and correct me in the comments. But another thing that was cool to see was, again, just for like one line, but it was the Insomniac Spider-Man. They literally had the model from the game, like, appear in the background, and I believe Yuri Lowenthal gave a voice. So that was pretty cool to see. I loved the references in this film because I am a huge Spider-Man geek. So it was awesome to see all that stuff. Another good thing that I have to praise, spoiler-wise, is the story. The story was really, really enjoyable. I am very, very eager and very curious to rewatch this one now that I've seen it and I know how it is. I'm gonna be going and seeing it with my best friend sometime. I'm not sure how soon I'll be back for it, but I will be back. But yeah, I'm gonna go see it again, and I am very, very curious to see how this film holds up on a rewatch. Because the thing about this film, I knew going in from the start, was that it was part one of a two-parter. So I knew that going in. I'm sure maybe if I didn't know this going in, I wouldn't have had this feeling. But throughout the course of the film, I kept wondering, alright, this is a two-parter, how are you guys gonna end this? And what is it gonna leave, me? Where is it gonna end? And when it finally got to that to be continued screen with all the spider people swinging off, it made my jaw drop the floor, and I said, God damn it, you're gonna have to make me wait to come back for more. I immediately wanted more. I immediately wanted more out of this one. But I am very satisfied with what was delivered. So I knew going in that this was a part two. I knew that this was half of a story, so maybe some people can see that as a negative, if it not being a complete story. But given that I knew that this was going to be a two-parter, and that I trust the team behind this fully to deliver on the hype and make a good two-parter, of course that's not out yet, so I could just be talking out of my ass, and the final product of that second part could end up being really shit, and I just end up looking like a moron. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. Time will only tell. But that being said, it being a two-parter, while watching the film, I just kept waiting for that moment that would be like, okay, so they're just gonna lead into part two. But no, for the most part, it feels like every single minute of that runtime it feels like it was justified. I don't think this was split into 2 parts just for the sake of making money. It does feel like they had a ton of ideas for this movie, and it just ended up going, it ended up splitting into 2 films, which I'm fine with, if the next one's good. We will see. I also liked seeing that, the plot twist with Miles getting stuck in another dimension. I did not see that one coming. Literally didn't see that one coming. That was one hell of a plot twist, and I liked seeing, Miles as the Prowler. Sure, that's not completely accurate to, how he was in the comics, but when has Into the Spider-Verse ever been comic accurate? So that's not really an issue for me. I loved seeing how there's like a version of Miles that helps his Uncle Aaron with crime, though. That's something that I think that I think was taken from his comics. Was that Uncle Aaron and Miles, like Miles helped out Uncle Aaron before Uncle Aaron died. So yeah, that was pretty cool to see. Very interested to see where this plot goes in the next one. And another thing, the last thing that I actually really want to compliment this film on before I end this unscripted, unfiltered video, my fresh thoughts on Spider-Verse, is the animation in terms of spoiler scenes and how it worked so well with the water pastel color looking imagery. Like there's a scene where Gwen and her dad are having a little heart-to-heart, and the background looks like it's running paint. I thought that was such a neat little artistic decision to go for, and it really sold the emotion for me. Or like when the Spot's plan is revealed, and like all the scenes talking about the Spot's backstory. I liked how those scenes were in black and white because the Spot is black and white. That was a very, very inspired decision. Another thing that made me hit my jaw hit the fucking floor was the fact that it was revealed that like the Spot was behind it all. The guy who Spider-Man hit with a bagel in the last movie, a blink and you'll miss it background detail, ended up turning into the Spot because he was at the Collider in the first movie, which wasn't established, but whatever. He's such an enjoyable villain that I can honestly forgive the fact, like, technically if I wanted to, I could put on my nerd goggles and go, actually, we didn't see anybody in the Collider in the last one except for Miles, the other spider people, and his dad. Actually, but honestly, the Spot is such a fun villain in this movie that I forgive all. I really don't care. So those are my fresh thoughts on Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse. Let me know what you guys thought of Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse. Leave a comment down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please remember to like and subscribe, and until next time, remember to always stay sweet. Alright, so I just wanted to add this at the end. After letting my thoughts settle on this film for a couple hours or so, I will have to admit that there is a problem with it, and it's that it does feel like the film is a little bloated near the end. It feels like there was a lot going on that, just felt like there was too much going on towards that last half of the film. I definitely still like the plot twist, as I mentioned. I definitely still like it. But I will admit that by that last 30 or so minutes, it does feel a little bit bloated, in my opinion. It does not ruin the film at all, but I just do want to add that, I feel like it went on for 30 or so more minutes than it had to. I felt like there were places where they could have, like, started the cliffhanger. I feel like the cliffhanger could have come in a lot sooner, but it just didn't. But that does not subtract from the quality of this film. And if you want a number rating from me, I am giving Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse a solid 8.5/9 out of 10. Definitely not a 10 out of 10. That honor still goes to the first one.